Good afternoon, our friends at SpeedGaming 3. This is another episode of A Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3. Today we're going to see an open league match. It is the second game between OK Game and Team Moyai. Team Moyai up 1-0. And it is a power player match between krelbel and Lanxion. And today we're going to have an interesting one. We have Inverted, we have Randomizer, so full boss and enemy shuffle. And we have Vanilla Swords. I am Zerubian. Joining me on commentary today is Drossi. How we doing, Drossi?
I'm doing good. I am very intrigued by the settings for this race and can't wait to see how they play out.
The modes that were picked for this race are very interesting. When we go forward here, we're going to have... I don't know. We're going to be running around in Inverted. We're not going to have a sword. All of our swords accessible only through the light world because they're in their vanilla placements. So krelbel and Lanxion are going to have some ingenuity and a little bit of placement luck to get a weapon that allows them to work around some of these enemies that may be placed in very rude places.
Yeah, and we've also got Randomizer, so we don't even necessarily know, what weapons we're going to need for what enemies.
And that's really about the rudest that the seed has for us here. Just Randomizer, Vanilla Swords, and Inverted Start. And they are off, and we're going to see 3 bombs in Link's house. Really good for Lanxion to go ahead and just go straight to Hype Cave here.
We should note that the Inverted and Randomizer settings were krelbel's choices. Vanilla came from Sahasrabot.
Yes, and being a little bit of the wiser, I would think here in this mode, Lanxion decided, no Key Sanity. And that's a glove and a bottle that you see in Hype Cave there. So a little bit of safety as it's filled with blue goo, and already thinking about possibly going up to the mountain at some point. krelbel's going to give us a look into Skull Woods. It's a pretty standard start for Inverted to come down here, take a few deaths, and just farm bombs.
Maybe not the most efficient, but it works. And Lanxion's got to hope that he can raise a little bit of money to do the archery game and raise a whole lot more money. But not looking like it. And apart from those bombs, we don't have weapons either.
Yes, indeed. And that looks like krelbel is happy with 6 bombs. He's going to come down into Skullwoods and have a look. Am I just noticing krelbel's sprite, or is that just me?
Krelbel's... What is it? It looks like Link's twisting his head around or something?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
That's a little bit disturbing.
I mean, your head would be twisted around too if you had all these scrambled enemies and Inverted.
I wasn't aware of the twisted Link sprite.
There's our second bottle.
Hey, and we have our...
Now, I don't know
So to answer...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to answer chat that this is a best of 5 series. So there are necessarily 3 games to play at a minimum.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if Lanxion fell into Pinball Room intentionally here. He got bailed out by a key, so he's going to continue. Otherwise, that could have been a, hey, you're going to save and quit here.
Yeah, now let's see if Lanxion can do this. Nope, he doesn't want to do that bomb jump for the big chest either. I guess bombs are at a premium.
I mean, they're really kind of not, but at the same time, it does take more time to farm for bombs when you end up, oh. As soon as I saw that spike retracting into its place, I'm like, don't.
Oh, and speaking of bombs, krelbel doesn't get that one for Hype Cave placed quite right. Now, thieves are killable in these Randomizer settings, but that does require a weapon to kill them with.
And presently, the only weapon we have to do so with is, of course, bombs. So, until we find a little something, and Lanxion is going to just walk this mimic out of the way. That's the third key in the front of Skull Woods. Wow.
But still doesn't want to open that big chest unless he's going to get at it from the vanilla way. Oh, he's getting at it from the vanilla way. Okay, now that you've pointed this out, I get really disturbed every time krelbel's walking upwards.
Yeah, that's what made me think about it, and it's just like the body's turned one way, the head's turned the other way, and as one of our people put out in chat, it appears that he is using the Lonk sprite is the joke here. I don't know what the sprite's actual name is. It's the first time, and it's it's definitely something to behold here.
Oh, so just to clarify again in chat about game numbers, because there have to be at least 3 games played, the players can play the first 3 games in any order they so choose. This is officially the power game, but by convention we call it game 3, even if it's the second one being played. They haven't played the wisdom game, which is normally game 2, but they'll be playing it third.
All right, this is new for Lanxion. He's going to give us a look at what the big key chest of Skull Woods has, and it's just a map. So both of our items are locked in the back by a fire rod.
Well, that's 2 fewer items we have to worry about for the time being, and one of those items is also locked by a sword, and as we've discussed, it's vanilla swords, so we first need light world access.
And now that you mention it, neither of our players has given us a look at the Dark World map just yet. Sahasrabot also picked Defeat Ganon as one of the modes, just, so this plays as probably a normal 7-7, I would imagine. That means that Pendant Crystal will be useful eventually here.
Could play as an Uppsala Dungeons.
Being that it is inverted, that is quite a possibility.
Oh, krelbel didn't quite line up that statue right.
Yeah, just an extra pixel or two to the left. Those switches and a lot of these statues, some Mario blocks, things of that nature, have a very touchy hitbox.
So what's even in logic at this point besides Thieves Town? I feel like we're going to have to go in there.
In logic, but currently not accessible, our runners can still do Dig Game and Chest Game, but as you see the rupee counts on the screen, krelbel only has 10. Lanxion only has 4, so it's going to take a little bit of grinding, possibly finding out what prize pools we have, maybe finding a lucky rupee drop in a chest, before either of our players have a look at either of those locations.
But they just need to get 20 to be able to do archery game, and then they can build up a nice stash.
And run away from that thief because he'll steal your rupees. We did see the first 4 rupees that Lanxion picked up before that Popo dropped a blue one for us here was off of a pull. He had, I believe it was a tier 1 tree pole only gave us 4 green rupees, and that's a fire rod, and that's disturbing.
That'll get us one more item out of the back of Skull Woods.
I think that almost forces the back of Skull Woods to be a last location. Or it may be necessary for whatever boss is waiting here in Thieves Town.
I wonder if that was a failed attempt at a death warp or just an accidental death that Lanxion got out of with the fairy.
Lanxion's headed for the back of Thieves Town here. I would imagine to have a look at what boss is waiting for him, also possibly to traverse his way through the basement and the attic.
Those mimics are getting really annoying.
There's our first Trinex in Thieves Town. Just what I ordered.
I mean, we will need the fire rod for it.
But you'll also need an ice rod and at least the ability to extend to 4 magic meters, or a few swords, or a hammer. Yeah, Trinex is a...
So there's our map check. We have all 3 pendants and both 5/6 crystals in the Dark World. That's impressive.
Yeah, those 5/6 on Pod and Meyer. Meyer's an interesting one because you can get in with a sword and a medallion, provided you find the flute or a mirror. And Light World Axis, of course.
So I think Thieves was green pendant?
It was indeed, and that's interesting here to have green pendant Thieves, as it's very easy to get into, but we might end up coming back later to kill that Trinex. That does, however, mean Trinex is probably later in the logic because he's locked behind so many items.
Could also mean the Ice Rod's in GT.
Alright, we're going to see what krelbel decides to do here. I would imagine he has a peek at Trinex as well, but he might also have a look at... Well, that looks instead like he wants to leave. And he does have 30 rupees, so he can go ahead and play chess game straight up, or he can go to archery game and farm up some more. But chess game looks like the play here. Never mind. So Lanxion is going to give us a look at what's waiting at the back of Skullwoods here. We can't go to the boss at Monthula's location without a sword, but this could be important, and it's just more bombs.
Okay, krelbel, how are you shooting those arrows without even looking at the dolls you're shooting at? You seem more interested in the guy with the drum.
Captivating music. Alright, we saw krelbel take 2 rounds at the arrow game here, so he's got over 200 rupees. He's going to be able to do chest and dig game, and I still have money left for pod if flippers have to become available. Say flippers or hammer, and hammer would actually be great because it would give our runners a weapon here.
And Lanxion not having much luck here with finding any rupees, so he's going to go to the back of Thieves.
And this would scare the pants off of me. The back of Thieves Town in Randomizer with only 3 hearts and no safeties and no weapon and more bombs at dig game.
Well, given everything we've seen, that means that either back of Thieves Town or chest game is our progression.
And if it's the former, this is going to be one heck of a trek.
Lanxion finds a precious, precious rupee.
And like Lanxion did, krelbel is going to chase that fire rod to the back of Skullwoods. Unfortunately, he's going to find a bundle of blueberries that he'll be leaving on the floor.
You feel bad using your blue goo this early, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
Oh, this room. And it's not as bad as it could be, but that with one heart.
Nice job getting through it. Yeah, Mimic and an Igor together, that's got some interesting stuff going on with it.
And so far, this dive hasn't proven to be anything for Lanxion yet, but he still has another location he can go get.
I don't think he needed to bomb the floor, though. The Trinex is already there.
He's just trying to lighten up Trinex a little.
But the thing is, like, either what's in Blind Cell or what's in Chest Game is gonna have to open up a lot.
So we're talking about a lamp for the mountain, we're talking about flippers, we're talking about a hammer. Those really are the only three things that it could be here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because it's not like we're one item away from Light World access.
Here's our chess game play for krelbel. Gets a little extra money, and it's 20 rupees, so whatever we're looking for is all the way down here in Blind Cell. And it's the flippers.
Well, we got East Dark World.
So now Lanxion's going to be able to go to Catfish, the Pyramid, Pod if he chooses to, provided it's not, well, I mean, logically it would be considered bow locked, although the enemies cannot be placed as bow killable in kill rooms.
Pod is money locked at the moment until Lanxion can farm up some more rupees.
Yeah, lucky for Lanxion, all these money checks in Village of Outcasts haven't really caught up to anything, and when he does go back, they'll end up just being a sink. But at that point, he should probably have way more than he needs. There's one other place that opens up that might be a little bit scary here. We can go into Ice Palace.
Oh, right. It is not mitts locked and inverted.
That is correct.
And we do have the fire rod.
So you could see, we don't have a hammer, so it doesn't sound as good, but you could see even a hammer or the Moon Pearl waiting in Ice Palace here.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly get the first few checks.
Well, let that be your answer, because that bow is going to point you to Pod. Unfortunately, again, Lanxion has $0.15. Now, the item fill algorithm is not going to care where to put the rupees, because as soon as you open up a seed, it thinks you have an infinite number of bombs and an infinite number of rupees to start, because they're generally accessible through other means. Now, in this circumstance, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be easy to get to.
Lanxion just needs 5 more, and then he can finally do archery game. And given his start from Link's house, he's clearly going to try to farm those 5, unless he's going to Ice Palace, actually, given this trajectory.
Oof, krelbel takes a bump off of a Gibdo, and that's a death for him. So he'll have to traverse back in this direction here.
And he already used his fairy.
Yeah, he booped Trinex and burned the fairy in the bottle, and then had to do it again just to get out. So the other thing here is Lanxion doesn't have much by way of magic either.
So where's he heading? I mean, that way goes to pod, but you can't do anything about pod until you get a lot more rupees. Oof, Pengators with arrows, and they still didn't leave anything.
Oh, that was the one shot that he had. And that means
And
everything
getting...
now. Now that's clutch.
Well, that was a lucky magic drop. And meanwhile, Krelbel is gonna have fun with Igors and Gurias here.
This room is looking kind of treacherous.
But there's our sweet, sweet cash. Like, sure, go as far as you want in this dungeon, but as soon as you're either blocked or take a death, I would go right for that archery game.
Considering how much money has been at a premium so far in the seed, I am right there with you. Speaking of, you have that Picket deciding, hey, I like money too, and takes a single rupee off of Krelbel's hands here.
Okay, Krelbel, I think that, not Krelbel, sorry, Lanxion, I think that's a message to go to archery game and then go to pod. What is Lanx doing?
I think he might be thinking pyramid first here.
Oh, that makes sense.
And now we'll get to see what Krelbel decides to do with those flippers.
Looks like he's doing ice. I was going to say I'd get worried if Lanxion had started up towards pod, but you were right about pyramid.
Actually, it looks like Krelbel is going to go straight to pod. Now, we know that pod is logically accessible with the bow, as Lanxion finds the mother lode sitting on the pyramid. That's 300, and that's our access to pod here.
Oh, looks like Krelbel's also gonna get that mother lode first before pod.
Now, I'd be interested to see whether Krelbel decides to go up to Catfish, because the route he chose to take here is actually kind of slower.
Ooh, and those murder dactyls are, Oko when you're still on 3 hearts green mail.
Something about they do 3 hearts of contact damage? Alright, Krelbel will get his bow here in just a moment, provided he survives whatever enemies are on the path. So this is kind of a race at this point to see who makes it to Palace of Darkness first. Well, I should say who makes it into Palace of Darkness first.
And we don't know what enemies are going to be between the Kiki pickup and the entrance, so it might be a challenge hanging on to Kiki long enough.
We've already seen one Dacto, and as soon as they come on screen, they like to chase you around, so here it is again. Well, apparently not, actually.
Wow.
Light World or Dark World Sprite, that's possible.
And there was a swamp mola just kind of hanging out there on the edge of the screen.
And that was a BMOS you saw there, and that could be a very inconvenient shot to take. But Lanxion's going to make it through, so in a moment we'll get to see what's waiting in pod.
Just barely avoiding getting body slammed by that. What's it called? The Zazex?
Zazek, yeah. He would have survived it. Luckily, the Zazex only do 2 hearts of body damage, but still. Now, Hinox, on the other hand, could have been his undoing very early here. And we're not even bow locked, so that fire rod's probably telling us there's something in the back.
Right, we don't have Dark Maze in Logic, but we do have Rupee Basement in Logic.
Now, routing this dungeon is going to be a pain with no mirror, so we'll probably see Lanxion grab whatever here. If it's a key, I would imagine he goes to the big key chest and then drop on down. But being that we are not in any key sanity mode, he might just drop... Oh, never mind. I suppose I was correct.
Yeah, kind of your standard pod routing when you get those 2 keys first.
Yeah, pretty keen to remember that there's an arrow pot down there.
Yeah, we're effectively on a bow open because Fire Rod uses so much magic. Okay, Moon Pearl is nice. Maybe French Vanilla Hammer too, and then we'll have Light World?
Alright, that big key in the basement after the Moon Pearl in the big key spot tells us that we have a 2-key right side. So I would imagine that's where he's going to give us a look next. Now that means that Hammer could be anywhere that's currently logically accessible here in Palace of Darkness or also in Ice Palace.
Or we could find Mitts.
Now, interestingly, krelbel has decided to go directly to the right side here, so he's going to find out, hey, this is 2 keys, so I have 2 items in the other checks.
The Fire Rod is certainly nice for dealing with Hokubokus. Oh yeah, you don't see this fairy safety very often. I'm actually a little bit surprised because without the hammer, I would have expected Lanxion to just Death Warp.
At the end of the day, this only amounts to 1 extra hit that you have to take off of a fire bar, but at the same time, we get a synchronized death.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
It was frame for frame death. That was pretty cool. So now krelbel has a choice to make, and he's going to make the right one here. We know we need that Moon Pearl.
So we have 4 chests in Logic back here, but 2 of them contain small keys.
I should say up to 2 of them contain small keys.
Well, no, 2 of them must contain small keys because there are 6 and we got 4 in front, and...
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm so used to seeing a key in Harmless Hellway that I just kind of forget that it's even a thing. And they're the myths you were calling for, Drosty.
There is a key in Harmless Hellway. We don't need to go there or anything. But
Well,
Lanxion's going there anyway?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, honestly. Because the key logic would have told you this.
And Lanxion is by no means new to the game, nor is krelbel, but you know, Lanxion's been playing this for like 3 years or more.
So now having mitts, we have a couple different things we can do to get into the light world. We can go from Village of Outcasts, like you would from Kakariko with the mitts, or you could take that portal that's right on the Ice Palace entrance as well. And I believe Lanxion is going straight for the smithy.
Not a bad idea. That will give us a sword.
Well, first he's going to clean up Dig Game, it looks like, so he'll be distracted for a moment as krelbel picks up his mitts in Palace of Darkness basement. I wouldn't be too surprised here to see krelbel just shoot straight into Light World and get all those beautiful Kakariko checks. The RNG definitely paying out much nicer for Lanxion here than it did for krelbel, as he's actually made profit on this Dig Game.
Yeah, he's almost at Zora money. Heck, krelbel is at Zora money.
To answer a question in chat, krelbel's sprite is in fact possessed. Please call an exorcist.
I think he's exercising just fine with all that walking.
Gotta keep the neck limber, right? krelbel remembering that he can go get the smith and also obtain his first sword. So while he took the longer way to get here, they're going to end in the same place at the end here.
Yeah, you just take the smith through the portal here, pay 10 rupees, and get a sharp object.
There's your Light World map check. As we knew, 3 blue crystals. Not really a surprise here.
Yeah, Lanxion was probably like, oh right, I saw everything else in the Dark World.
At that point, it's less of a map check and more of a sanity check.
And now all the money just starts flowing fast and free.
That's pretty good because Zora is in logic. Now, Lanxion.
Lanxion, you bombed the back, you didn't get the chest. I hope for your sake it's not important.
Well, let's hope that's not something we need, like a hammer. Well, that's going to be really nice for krelbel, and Lanxion's probably going to think, where the heck did I leave those when we see Ganon's hint later on?
Did you find the silver arrows in the light world?
there's the hammer.
That hammer.
Okay, so we have full traversal access through the light world here. Some areas we still can't get to in the dark world without a mirror, however.
But in terms of those silvers, you know, there's at least one Vitreous out there somewhere, maybe 2.
And that's going to make that Vitreous fight a lot more comfortable. Yeah, guard barracks as usual. One fire rod shot to rule them all.
And somewhere with all those pieces of heart, we did get enough for a 4th heart container, I'm noticing.
That red guard just outside the smith house, that's going to spook me a little bit. Never mind. And at 33 minutes and 29 seconds, we have our first sword of the match in inverted vanilla swords here.
And for those of you keeping count, we have already found 8 out of 24 heart pieces without finding a single heart container.
So in just a moment here, we're going to have that diversive path sort of thing that I find actually probably the most challenging part about playing inverted after you get out of the early game draw is there's so many things that become open to you with the light world, especially now that we have that hammer.
Yeah, we still don't have a lamp, so there's, a fair amount of stuff that isn't in logic. But
Yeah.
when did we ever care about logic?
Well, presently, the lamp is the only thing keeping us from fighting whatever boss is waiting in pod. It's also keeping us off the mountain at the moment, because an Randomizer old man rescue is a problem. And I feel like Lanxion is going to go straight to Uncle and get his Master Sword early here, which is not a bad call.
Well, stop off at Cave 45 here, which, no longer on any sort of plateau. And no, Lanxion is gonna do South Shore. Oh, no, changed his mind.
I think that swing of the sword reminded him, hey, I can do this. This is honestly not a bad call. Having a little extra offense is a nice roller in front of the bomb shop. To answer a question in chat, it's called K45 because while we have such a unique and creative naming convention, we couldn't figure out what we wanted to call that one, so it is numbered in the game's code as the 45th cave, and thus it's stuck.
It's not even in the game's code, it's in this, popular map of the game that circulated back in the day.
Right, so we're going to see the dam
But
from
yeah, I've heard it
krelbel.
called South. I've heard it called South of Grove Cave, but that just doesn't have a ring to it.
Yeah, Cave 45 is easier to say. Hype Cave is easier to say than Cave 73, but often enough it plays like 73 for you, isn't it?
Yeah, but today that bottle definitely was a lifesaver.
Yeah, that blue mail is going to be
And
nice.
Lanxion's going for escape.
So krelbel's doing South Shore, and he's putting off his sword for now. I would imagine he's probably waiting to find out whether or not he can maybe speed up the process of checking escape here. Finally, we get our first container heart in the first chest of escape. That, of course, means the key is either in Dark Cross or the back. And these checks are all in logic with the fire rod and the glove in our hands here. That.
Ooh, that flute is nice. That could be our Meyer access, because we don't have the mirror yet.
That could very well be. And the seed has Swamp Palace marked as a pendant, so that mirror might turn up to be kind of late here for us. That flute might actually end up being the hard required access into the Meyer area.
Now, the thing about inverted is you have to activate the flute in the light world, but it only works in the dark world. Just a poor Stalfos entrusted to guard the big key.
Alright, do you think we'll see Fire Rod Dark Cross here from Lanxion?
I doubt it. I mean, he knows the small key's somewhere in the back, so I'd probably wait to be around that side. Which is actually a pain to get to in inverted, just as the corresponding Dark World area is a pain to get to in a normal seed.
Alright, so he'll get a flute here in just a moment as he's going to make his South Shore checks. Krelbel is making his flipper checks as we speak, and of course, having the flippers means this is going to be a lot safer than if you decided to fake flipper an Randomizer, where some of those enemies could bop you for a one-hit KO, especially that dead rock right there.
So this is interesting on Lanxion's part. He skipped Dam, which makes me think that maybe he'll do the purple chest and combine purple chest, Dam, and Agena.
It is possible. Now, Krelbel found a hook shot on the hobo, and that's interesting because with the items that we found since we originally dove in, Ice Palace is now potentially completable in logic, provided the boss doesn't have a key.
But either way, everything short of the boss is in logic in Ice Palace.
Oh, absolutely.
And we might even need to do a good old-fashioned bomb jump.
And there's red mail for Krelbel, so we went from 3 hearts and fragile to 5 or 6 hearts and really tanky here.
I think I like 6 hearts and tanky to 3 hearts and fragile, but that's just me.
Shoutouts to those of us in the community that are crazy enough to play Oko. Oh boy.
So answer a question in chat about the runners picking the mode. The way this worked is there's 6 different settings that have to be chosen. Krelbel as the higher seed got the first pick. Lanxion got the second pick. Krelbel got the third pick, and Sahasrabot got the last 3 picks.
And to that, Krelbel had choice of world state. He picked inverted. Lanxion had choice of dungeon item shuffle. He said no key sanity at all. And then Krelbel said...
Krelbel actually picked Enemizer first, and then he picked inverted as his final choice.
I'm backwards. And then Sahasrabot said, okay, you can defeat Ganon, and you have vanilla swords, good luck.
And mercifully, normal item pool.
Because imagine playing Randomizer on hard item pool or swordless. Ooh boy.
Yeah, and, you know, the mail upgrades that we get in hard item pool are already coming in handy. Sorry, on normal item pool that we don't get on hard item pool.
I have to think now Krelbel is probably... Oh, he's going to do Peg Cave first here. I like this call. No? What are you doing, my friend? It's just defeat Ganon, not fast Ganon. So this is almost definitely a 7-7 classic inverted with a couple extra things tacked on. Okay, so Krelbel's going to activate his flute.
Makes sense. Watch out, Lanxion.
Luckily, the generous Fury in the Waterfall was giving out red potions today, as that just saved Lanxion's bacon.
So that he can now spend 500 rupees on a love lesson.
It's always Valentine's Day at Zora's Domain, didn't you know that? So we're going to have some new information from Krelbel. He's going to hop into Lost Woods and get the 2 checks that are here, possibly a peek at what's on Lumberjack, and I would imagine he takes us all the way to Sanctuary and Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, probably given the drop down, he'll do Graveyard Ledge, then kind of work his way back, go through the back of Escape, and go out to Sanctuary that way, I'd guess.
My lonely arrow will wait forever on the mushroom spot for someone to come claim it.
So Thieves Town is full clearable, and I wonder if Lanxion's map check was deciding whether or not he should do that. Maybe he'll go up and... Okay, he's got the flute out, so looks like he's also doing flute activation.
So that was good news, as Aghanim is not required on the seed, because I don't think any of us are looking forward to that red boomerang.
Oh no, Lanxion is going to finish off Skull Woods.
Now, that's interesting, as we know that the boss on Mothula has an item.
And it can't be Trinex. Trinex will not fit in that room, so that's... and we can beat anything else.
Yeah, so the bosses that can be in this room, Mothula themselves, of course, Blind, the Armos Knights, Vitreous, and Helmacopter. And, of course, Argus, because that might be one of the most painful fights in the entire room.
And Lanmo, Moldorm. I think, this... Whoa! There were boots in the back of Escape.
And krelbel is gonna go fast. Right into a Hanox block. Wow. But yeah, that does open up some more checks for our runners when they get to the boots. In fact, may be required for Desert later on. But also, with the mitts, that gives us the ability to check King's Tomb and not have to worry about it. In short, pretty convenient location for those boots.
The interesting thing about Randomizer is that wall masters will always show up where they would in vanilla. They just may also show up in places they wouldn't in vanilla.
You know, like the super tile on the right side of the first basement of Ice Palace. That's your lamp logic? The lamp is locked by boots and mitts? And that's mountain access for krelbel.
Yeah, King's Tomb is actually the only thing in Inverted that is hard mitts locked.
That's a heck of a place for a lamp, if you ask me. And that's our first medallion of the match. It is Ether. We may see that being required to enter Mire.
Lanxion coming to the sad realization that he has used all his bottles.
I do not recall him getting more than one fill off of the Waterfall Fairy, so that red potion used at the Zora domain, at this point, it's try again on Blind. And this is actually a deceptively hard fight, with the moving conveyor, the spikes all around you, and of course, Blind himself is a bullet hell.
Well, and Blind tends to keep to the top of the screen, and you can't get above him then because the spikes are there.
So there's no easy way to just hit Blind at the early going here. Lanxion, you missed a torch, my friend. That funky little hitbox on the fire rod shot going right just skipped over the torch.
Now, krelbel's finally getting his Master Sword here, and then he'll probably do the front of Escape, and I believe we've already seen the map, and we saw the key in the back, so there should be an item in Dark Cross.
And with the lamp, he's going to have an easier time of getting to it. Now, with the sword beams, this blind fight actually becomes a lot more manageable on the top row. Until you take a hit like that.
Still, we're actually on phase 3 now. That's something.
And the conveyor, of course, doing its dirty work and showing us that fight's just a pain.
See, this is where Lanxion's choice to skip the dam is coming back to bite him a bit, because if he hadn't, he'd have red mail, and that could actually make a difference here.
A little bit, because, well, the Blind's heads and Blind's body will always do contact damage, which is reduced to 1 heart on blue male and half a heart on red male. The fight's still a little bit tricky. You do have the unfortunate pleasure of running into spikes and fireballs, and those always do a fixed 1 heart of damage.
Oh, certainly, yes. I mean, spikes are spikes. That's just like when you're fighting the original Mothula. You know, Mothula's beams do 2 hearts of damage on green male that get reduced to half a heart on red male. So it's a question of, you know, in the original Mothula fight, which is more dangerous, the spikes or Moth's beams.
And one could argue, if you're kitted out to do it, you would opt to go ahead and, you know, take a body for Moth instead of a spike, just to save yourself that half of a heart on red male. So Lanxion, being a little bit more patient this time around, waited for Blind to come down to the bottom row and use the arena to his advantage with a little extra space. Really nifty dodging here. And that's it.
And half magic, I will take that, especially because Fire Rod has been such a useful weapon so far.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat reward to get out of that fight. That Fire Rod's going to make later fights both more accessible and a little easier to take care of.
That is also our first boss at the 50-minute mark.
So Lanxion will have the crystal lead here, but krelbel is covering a lot of ground and has a number of things that are going to keep pulling him ahead of Lanxion in the check department.
At least until Lanxion does the back of escape.
So I'm curious to see where Lanxion is going to choose to go next. Oh, that is terrifying. 2 BMOs in the center of the room.
All for 20 rupees. So what do we still need at this point? We need the book because Desert is hard book locked. We need the Cane of Samaria for Meyer. We need a medallion to get into Meyer, which may or may not be the ether that krelbel's found. And that could be go mode.
You may potentially also see the need for an ice rod if we find another Trinax.
Fortunately, that's relatively unlikely.
So we see krelbel going up, and he's going to rescue the old man here. He's got the ability to go all around the mountain and do everything except Turtle Rock up here.
What I love about Inverted is that the normal play is, when rescuing the old man, is you jump off this massive cliff with the old man, and he's got to be made of rubber because he lands just fine. Don't try that at home.
There's Quake sitting up on Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, I forget how you get to Spec Rock in Inverted. You have to like go all the way around and then approach from the top.
You would do it the same way you would get to Hera without a mirror in Open. You have to go all the way around, and Spectacle Rock is open on the top side. So that Quake is obtainable here. And speaking of obtainable or completable, we can finish Tower of Hera while we're up here.
Yep, we got plenty of fire source.
And because Trinex, the only boss we can't currently kill on this kit, is on Tower of Hera, is not able to spawn on Tower of Hera, we know we can kill the boss that's up there.
So Krelbel is taking us into the wonderful treasure trove of Paradox Cave.
And Lanxion is going to pick up his boots. That's our, what, third bottle?
Fourth, we've got all of them.
We have achieved bottle percent. Oh, now we're going to see something new here from Lanxion. He's going to do Dark Cross from the back without the lamp. So this is a group of enemies that we don't know about.
Feels so nice to charge into that thief, I'm sure.
One thing I love.
Little does Lanxion know just how close that lamp is.
That's our third medallion, so we are going to be guaranteed to go into Mire or Turtle Rock here. Provided the Cane of Samaria shows up for TR, that is.
Well, with TR being a pendant, I think I'd rather the Cane of Samaria didn't show up.
I'd be more worried about a mirror showing up here, because you can get to parts of TR without having the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, once you have that mirror.
The mirror also opens up Swamp Palace, which is our third pendant, and not necessarily somewhere we plan on going. And the old gray tower gives us the big key in the cage in front. So you have krelbel setting up for the spin speed Harapot here.
I love the spin speed Harapot. Like, it looks so elegant.
Yeah, you just run around a little bit and then it's fine. That was actually really well done. That it didn't take him more than 2 tries to get up here.
Yeah, I should say it looks elegant when you can get it in the first try or two.
That's one item. That's a compass. So we have a key or an item on the boss at Moldorm.
And we really hope it's an item, not a key. Now, who's it gonna be up here? Could be a vanilla Moldorm.
Instead, it is a cold stare.
Oh no.
And this is actually pretty nice for krelbel, as he does have Bombos to save some of his magic for fire rod shots. And the arena kind of works in your advantage here, provided you don't get knocked off.
This will be nicer for Lanxion, though, because he has half magic.
Oh, krelbel, please be careful with the edge there.
So, does Lanxion forget that this is Bumper Cave?
I think he forgot he was in the light world, as krelbel takes down Cold Stare, and we get, for our trouble, the key.
I mean, I think at this point, you gotta take the coffee break.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on this one. With the ability to find either an ice rod or a Cane of Samaria or a book potentially in the basement, you kind of have to. You're not going to be coming back up here at any short period of time. unless you find the book already, and then you're talking about checking Ether Tablet, and that's just so out of the way that it ends up being a last location and inverted. It looked like he was thinking about it for a moment and then decided, yeah, I better do it. Now,
Yeah, and
Lanxion...
Lanxion oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say, after a false start out of Dark Link's house, decided that he's going to go up the mountain too.
So krelbel setting up to Death Warp here? I'm not sure how happy I am about this setting up to Death Warp thing at the base of Nahara. I know you kind of want to, but going into the next room on 1 heart, those Moldorms could be anything.
1 heart red mail, though. And all that for some bombs. So as we approach the hour mark, each of our runners has 1 crystal, but really they've got a lot of stuff to get a lot more crystals. They can do Pod and Eastern easily enough.
We do also have Ice Palace is still lingering there. I don't think we saw any items out of that dungeon. And we do have the ability to go check out what's in the Mire area, though we can't finish Mire itself without that Cane of Samaria. But so far, they put on a good show, and I would invite you all to give these runners a follow.
Oh wow, Lanxion, I don't think we saw this from krelbel, did we? Lanxion is going to take the old man on a tour of Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot Cave because he does not have a mirror. He won't be able to get back to it.
I don't think the old man will let you go in. He will not.
Oh. Well then.
I do also want to give a shout out to our tracker today, 2C Plus, just sitting in the background making sure we're keeping track of everything. Anything we miss, he's got it lit up on the screen for us. And also a league competitor. He is a member of Team OK Game, so we'll see him as the playoffs unfold.
He, in fact, played against Glan in the first game of this series.
As he gives us the already lost remark in chat. Yes, you did lose, but I'm saying that anything can happen in these best-of-3 series. This is the second game. Best of 5. 3 wins to advance. I get them mixed up in my head. This is the second game between OK Game and Team Moyai. If you're joining us late, we have Inverted, we have Full Randomizer, and we've had Vanilla Swords.
You know, with you saying best of 3, though, season 1 of the league, the original plan was to have the playoffs be a best of 3, and the power players wouldn't even race unless their teammates split the first 2 matches and forced a game 3. And then, as the playoffs were approaching, the players were like, we'd really like a best of 5 series, give us more opportunity to play. So got switched to a best of 5, and that's what we've stuck with.
And it's definitely worked because it gives all 3 players the ability to showcase their stuff and a little bit more parity. Because any given match, you could have something happen in casual boots or open, putting that power player's game into perspective here. And after that 3rd game, things get a little bit more interesting. There's a Cane of Burna. That puts Spike Cave into logic here.
So krelbel is fluting straight off with that purple chest.
That's a pretty good call, actually. I mean, you could flute to 4 and take the mirror portal, or you could just flute to 6, lift that rock, and here you are. And we have stolen Gary's lunch money for the umpteenth time.
When you're this close to go mode, they can't be any place nice, right?
No, of course not. What fun would it be
And
for our
checkerboard.
chat if the items were just right there?
Checkerboard's vanilla for all that.
I did like Lanxion's decision to want to go over to East Death Mountain, and it looks like he's waiting on Tower of Hera for now, because he's saving Quit out of, was it Spiral Cave?
Yeah, I think he really wants to check Super Bunny and Hookshot, and then he'll go through the portal. He has the hammer to activate the portal up there, and then he'll do Hera.
So the question now for krelbel is, what decision do you make next? Lanxion.
Wait, Lanxion?
This is inverted. That is absolutely Aga Tower.
His thought was, oh, GT's open. Might as well clear it now.
You know you've played enough entrants when? Now, being inverted GT is actually where Aghanim Tower would be at the top of the Hyrule Castle, and Castle Tower is where GT is.
So it looks like both of our runners have the same idea with, doing Hookshot and Super Bunny right now. Gets us a better shield.
Might be nice if you see a second copy of Blind out there somewhere, but at the same time, that shield, it's not exactly what we were looking for here.
So that was a pretty good bust, and Lanxion does not want to do Tower of Hera.
No, it looks like he's putting that dungeon off for now, which is really isn't a terrible call, because you might end up going back up there later, but I'm not sure if I agree with the decision to just give Hera a full-on skip here.
Yeah, because you don't need to go up there at the end for Ganon's Tower, and TR is a pendant, so we might not be going in there at all.
Here's another thing. Did he go over there and pick up Quake? Because Quake was sitting on Spectacle Rock. It is our entry requirement to Misery Mire.
Yeah, I think he did not pick that up.
So he's going to be fluting out of the Mire area here. Let's see where he decides to go next. And this inverted routing is really kind of strange, as now we see both players going over to the eastern area. Interesting. Because without a mirror, there's only so much you can do to get between two worlds here.
I was going to say, we haven't seen Saha's closet, though.
Yeah, good few checks here. No Ice Rod, so no turning into the green pendant right now with Sahasrahla with that Trinex waiting in Thieves Town. But that could mean that there's something back here, or in Eastern, a full clearable dungeon that we might want. Like that book, for instance.
So we are now a Cane of Samaria away from Go mode. Or at least on krelbel's side we are.
Now, just having a glance down at the pendant crystal layout again, we know where our last two swords are. One sitting at the Pyramid Fairy in the left check, and one sitting on the pedestal. Pod and Mire are our 5-6. So Tempered Sword becomes available.
I still think
with you, Cane of Samaria.
I still think even if Cane of Samaria is our go mode and Mire is the last crystal we clear, you still get that tempered before you do GT.
Absolutely, in Lanxion's case, because he has skipped silvers and is not very likely to find them later, so he would have to do a Master Sword silverless unless he puts in the time to go get that tempered sword.
And for those of you who weren't here when it happened, silvers are in the back of Blind's hut. Lanxion did the old bomb the back wall, and then, oh, it's open. I must have done it already.
So after all this divergence between these two runners, krelbel has a couple extra checks on Lanxion. Lanxion has a couple extra checks on krelbel. They're now both in Eastern Palace.
And welcome to 97 people rating from SpeedGaming 2, where I believe another Open League race just concluded.
Indeed it was. That was the game between Death King and Shiva Haze. This is a matchup between krelbel and Lanxion, Team OK Game and Team Moyai. It's their second game of the series. It's a power matchup. We've got Inverted, we've got Randomizer, and we've got Vanilla Swords. And so far, we've got a couple things that are working one way or the other. Right now, the edge in items goes to krelbel. He didn't skip silvers in the back of Blind's hut, whereas Lanxion bombed the wall and walked past them. Lanxion also does not have Quake, which was sitting up on Spectacle Rock, we've determined is the entry requirement for Misery Mire. So that's a couple things working on Team OK Games side right now. Otherwise, they're in lockstep in Eastern Palace here, kind of having the same idea as they go through the seed.
Yeah, they've done most of Pod, but we will get to see the Dark Maze when they go back in there. 3 items in there.
TIL, thieves are immune to bombos.
Just because we made them killable doesn't mean we made them easily killable.
What do you mean? You can just swipe a sword and it dies. Oh, but no, a ring of fire? Ah, can't touch this.
And of course, Can't Touch This was by MC Hammer. So Hammer can be usable on thieves.
Randomizer swordless. You know what else is nice on thieves? A bow. Because you can pick them off from a distance. Is this... Are you sure this is a boss shuffle, Drossi? Because I'm pretty sure that's Armos Knights in their vanilla location.
That it is. And krelbel's going to have a much faster time of this fight. Not that Lanxion took very long at it.
It was an interesting... I saw one offset arrow that you don't usually see from Lanxion, but it was extremely effective to dispatch the Armos Knights. And of course, 6 arrows from krelbel. They'll both have their second crystal of this match.
And still no mirror, so gotta save and quit out of there.
Every time krelbel takes a few steps and then doubles back and that sprite just whips around, I'm like... Looks like both runners are going to chase the book into desert. This is actually not a bad call either, because that book is the hard required lock to desert here. Or...
And those boots mean we know we can finish it.
krelbel, where are you going, my friend? Oh, he's got to check the Bombos tablet first.
Which also makes me think that maybe, hopefully, the book will take Lanxion up to check Ether, and then he'll grab that Quake medallion that he needs.
I would imagine he would take care of Hera at the same time. course, Desert Palace has 2 items. That small key in the middle means we're going to the right side, looking for that big key.
And the big key's vanilla.
Or it's on the torch, because I don't think we saw that.
Oh, maybe not.
In fact, it is on the torch. So both keys accessible out the gate here, only 1 item right side, so that's a 50-50 between whether your second item's in the big chest or on the boss.
Yeah, just to reiterate here, the first 3 games can be played in any order since it's a best of 5. By convention, we refer to the power game as game 3, but it's actually being played as game 2, and wisdom will be game 3 in this series.
Yeah, this is in fact game 2. Team Moyai has a 1-0 lead up on OK Game right now. And how this and the next game shake out, we know there's going to be at least a game 4, depending on whether or not OK Game can take a win. I just love Randomizer. You walk into a dungeon and you're greeted by a giant spike trap in the face.
Now, what if Randomizer swapped out the tiles too? I know some Randomizer versions change the pattern of the tiles. But if you actually turn the tiles into different enemies and other enemies into tiles, you never know when you're going to have a tile room.
You just walk into a door, you have a tile flying in your face. That'd be kind of cool. Should see if the devs are going to be on something like that.
Shh, don't give them ideas.
From what we've seen in this game over the past couple of years, we don't need to. The one advantage that Lanxion does have over krelbel right now is that he does have half magic. That was on the boss of Skullwoods, which was a blind. And is of absolutely 0 consequence here because this is the easiest boss not in its home arena.
Moth? What moth? I think we got a fly swatter.
Alright, so Desert was not the answer for our progression, although it is our 3rd crystal. And Lanxion hasn't been over here yet, so he's going to see that vanilla piece of heart and checkerboard, probably check Bombos on the way by as well.
Maybe finally do dam at this rate?
At this point, having 12 hearts, I don't think he'd be too happy to see the red mail on the dam, although it would make the rest of your run conventionally easier.
So there's krelbel's 3rd crystal. He's got all the Light World crystals now.
Yeah, that Tower of Hera play and that Quake Medallion are pretty out of the way for Lanxion right now. Although, again, that book might bring him up there to go do Ether. And that Cane of Burn is still looming on krelbel's side. We haven't seen Spike Cave from either of our runners yet either.
But at least for the time being, krelbel can just kick around the Dark World. He doesn't have to worry about not having a mirror. He's got the flute, and the next several things he can do are all in the Dark World.
Yeah, we got Palace of Darkness, Ice Palace that are both full clearable. You can look at Thieves' Town longingly and go, where is my ice rod? We're probably going to see the pod clear here.
krelbel never took down Blind in Skull Woods either.
Right, so that's going to be something he'll have to clean up, and he's going to have a little bit of an easier time doing it on this kit. Especially having that Cane of Burna. Makes that fight a little bit easier to cheese, even in the room. But Lanxion finally makes it over to the dam. He's going to pick up red mail, and that's all the defense you could ever ask for in an Randomizer seed.
Yeah, 12 hearts and red mail. I'm not too worried about Lanxion's health from here on out.
Well, the one thing about checking Dark Maze here is we don't have a mirror, so... And that fire bar is going to make it pretty impossible to do a hammer yump with the items that we currently have. So, that in mind, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. And these enemies in here aren't going to do a lot of damage, except for that Hinox.
Yeah, so keep it alive so we can death warp. Oh, and there's the powder. So that puts Magic Bat in play.
Of course, Magic Bat isn't necessarily easy to get to. It's kind of isolated, but not nearly as bad as some other checks that we have ability to go do. I think...
Krelbel hasn't done Skull Woods yet, so, you know, he'll be sort of in the area when he does that.
I think krelbel is going to go ahead and just reverse this through Harmless Hellway, trade that key for a key, and then go straight to the boss.
He already traded the key for the key.
Ah, okay.
Oh, and Lanxion is stubbornly doing Hammer Yump in spite of it all. Let's see if he can pull it off.
Nicely
Wow.
done. Usually when you see a setup like that, the fire bar, if you don't time it right, is going to punt you every single time. In this case, Lanxion timed it perfectly so that that fire bar was just on its downswing when he jumped across. So I have to ask chat, what would the collector's value be on an 8 Eyes Moldorm Dragon? Nice.
42, of course.
Not just 42. 42 with at least 1 0 at the end. Nice.
So, who do we think we'll see in here? Maybe Moldorm this time? Maybe Vanilla Helma?
Maybe Vitreous.
That'll give Krelbel quite an advantage if it's Vitreous in here.
Because let's see, we've already seen a Vanilla Armos Knight, so we know where there's a Trinex. We've seen Blind, Mothula, and Cold Stare. It's a Moldorm. Also known as Easy Mode.
7-Eye Moldorm. That's probably only worth like 69 bucks.
Well, in this case, it's worth whatever item it drops. I think we've seen both of the dungeon items in here. It's just 50 bucks. He's worth 50 bucks, Drossi.
Close.
I have to think you go to Ice Palace next, right?
Yeah, I mean, we abandoned that long ago. It's full clearable. We certainly have enough stuff to clear it with.
No, actually, looks like Krelbel is going to make the play to go into Mire. Oh, he hasn't checked Mire Shed yet. So he could still flute out and do Ice Palace if this doesn't have anything, and we know it doesn't.
Yeah, that cane could still be in a lot of places, so I'd think you full clear ice before you take the risk of doing Mire.
Cane in Mire. Yuck.
I mean, that's how they designed the game.
Actually, it looks like he's going to go ahead and get out of the way the Ether Tablet and possibly Spike Cave checks here. Yeah, he's going straight for Spike Cave. Lanxion doesn't have the knowledge of that Cane of Burna and Hammer Pegs.
Still, I would have thought Lanxion might flute to 8 at this point, but he didn't.
Luckily, nothing of consequence waiting in Spike Cave, so we might still yet see something happening for krelbel here in a moment. And I imagine this will be a flute to 8.
So was it actually faster for Lanxion to save and quit to Link's house and get to ice this way rather than just fluting to 8?
I actually don't think so. Fluting to 8 and then jumping into the water is a little bit faster. This will be krelbel's cleanup of Skullwoods here.
That's what I would have thought, and Lanxion forfeited his full health that he got from the boss clear.
So one item our runners really don't want to see right now is a mirror, for obvious reasons. For one, for two, coming in kind of late really just borks a lot of the routing that you've already kind of finagled around. So it's a real big feels bad. But that would be our.
Remember when Lanxion was last? Oh, sorry.
Remember when he was.
Yeah, remember when he was last in here with 3 hearts and green mail and very few weapons.
Yeah, this is considerably more comfortable a dive into Ice Palace now than it would be in that inverted start when you have your flippers as your progression. Ugh. Luckily, we didn't have to see them struggle through this in hopes to find rupees because there was a 300 on the pyramid, and Pod did give us miss.
So krelbel's gonna find blind down here. Again, 14 hearts red mail shouldn't be too much trouble, and he's actually got stuff in his bottles too.
Gonna see an IPBJ from Lanxion. That little statue knight didn't stand a chance. As soon as it stood up, it was knocked right back down. That's blind done for krelbel. He's going to have that half magic going into Ice Palace next as well, I would think.
Now, the thing about not being able to do Icebreaker is it's a while before you get your second chest in Ice Palace.
That's a mushroom. So I heard you like fetch quests.
Still don't have the shovel. Alright, Lanxion didn't want to deal with that bomb jump, so he's going to go around through Tall Icy Room.
Lanxion doesn't have a key, so he's actually got to go through this the vanilla path.
Yeah, I was confused why he started going south once he fell in there. Oh, and krelbel doing ether strats to get rid of the shadow guys.
Well, there's your big key, but still no key, so you're actually locked on this side of the dungeon until you at least come upstairs. For a moment, I thought that recoil off the Helmasaur was going to put him right back down the stairs. I've done that. I've done that in Hera, where the recoil off the hard hat beetles pushed me right back down the stairs. I had to come back up and kill the other ones.
Okay, so we've now seen everything but Big Chest, Iced Tea, and the boss.
I'm
Now
telling you,
you-
this deranged Link sprite is really throwing me off. Watching him set up that IPBJ was disorienting.
I'm trying not to watch. Krelbel really likes his medallions, though.
They're nice to have in Randomizer because they do clean up any of the rooms that might otherwise be trouble. Especially when you're on vanilla swords and you only have master. It just makes going through parts of the dungeon that much more comfortable. Well, krelbel is going to be faced with the same decision that Lanxion had. He's going to go straight right here instead of down and around the boss.
And Lanxion found that blue boomerang in Iced Tea, which could be quite useful in Ganon's Tower. Oh, and there's a cape, though we know that doesn't get us anything, because Bumper Ledge was just a vanilla piece of art.
So was that 2 or 3 items we've seen here? Mushroom, blue boomerang, cape, that's 3. So our answer is potentially Knight here, pending that mushroom.
Yeah, and we can't do Swamp without the mirror. We can't do Turtle Rock without either the mirror or the cane. So we're getting kind of shoehorned towards Meyer if it's not on the Mushroom or Magic Bat.
And we also still haven't seen either tablet. So that's some information for you right there. Since we knew that key had to be on the boss, technically this dungeon is locked behind Cane of Samaria. Which means Cane is out there and available before you come to clear this.
I mean, it could be on the mushroom. The mushroom was Freezor chest, right? And that's always going to be accessible.
Yeah, mushroom on Freezor. We do have that powder we haven't seen yet either. And it looks like the powder is where Lanxion is going.
No, he's going for purple chest. And Cane of Burna.
Uh-huh. Well, that Cane of Burna is going to reinforce what that cape already told us. Is Spike Cape is in logic. Of course, we know it's just a container heart, so nothing too helpful there.
You know, though, this is going to be Krelbel's 6th crystal when he finishes ice. And then for him, it's really just a few overworld checks in Meyer.
So you almost have to think, at what point do you take the gamble in checking Misery Mire? Do you ever, in this case, trust Cane to be in Mire? Oh my goodness, I didn't see the Wallmasters in here the first time. I thought he was getting scooped up.
Yeah, I think Lanxion did a little dodge dance too while he was in there.
One thing I might have liked Lanxion to do there is route the mushroom from where he was at Gary, because he could have taken that whirlpool portal south of the bomb shop straight up to the witch's house, and it's probably the fastest way to get to it.
But he could also just save and quit to Link's house whenever he wants and do that.
So this is actually pretty good here, is he's going to be able to go clear Hera, check Ether, and pick up Quake before he goes and finds anything else that he might want to go have a look at.
Look, I feel like Lanxion's just not very familiar with inverted, which means it was a good choice on Krelbel's part to pick a mode his opponent wasn't familiar with, because it would have been a lot faster to just go across the top.
Yeah, inverted has a lot of terrain changes and areas that you might consider not accessible that actually end up being easier to get to.
Oh, and Lanxion, don't forget your Quake while you're up here.
And that is Kane on Ether Tablet. Oh boy. So that's no mode.
That's also go mode for Lanxion if he remembers that the Quake medallion is sitting just off screen.
I would imagine he's probably going to remember it, and he's more than likely just taking care of Hera while he's here.
We'll find out based on whether or not he go modes Hera.
So Krelbel is going to have a look at the mushroom here.
Where was that book?
Book was behind
I can't remember.
Sahasrara in his closet on the left-hand side.
So something we've had access to for a while, but the runners just never went to that area.
At the time, Krelbel had already done Hera, so he never really had a reason to go all the way back up just for Ether. Ended up being a pretty isolated check. This works out for Lanxion, because he already knew he had to finish Hera anyway.
Okay, so the fact that Lanxion is going to the trouble of getting these chests leads me to believe he might just be completely oblivious to where Quake is and how to get it.
He might have looked at it and then kind of forgot it. Or he might have put it out of his mind after he looked at it. Both are very easy to do.
Let's hope he doesn't go back in for the coffee break. Krelbel is going to hit go mode shortly.
Krelbel instead is going to hit Kirby and hear about his song.
Yes. Half magic coming in really handy with that cold stare fight, as I said a while ago it would.
And this is what Drossi was talking about. The ability to take this TR back, that tail you can now leap off of and be on the back, use the portal, and just hammer one of the stumps. Now you can run across the top of the screen here.
No, Lanxion. He's just...
This is such a feels bad. If he actually walks down and sees Quake on Spec Rock, he will probably hear a facepalm from through the audio. But that's it. At 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 53 seconds, Krelbel is the first of our runners to enter Go mode with that Kane on Ether.
And, you know, that was Lanxion's best chance because he is going to lose a bit of time not having silvers, especially if the Meyer boss turns out to be Vitreous. So if he had hit go mode first, if he had just grabbed that Quake,
Oh, he save and quit out of basement.
But did he just No, he's
Oh
fluting.
no,
No.
Lanxion, no! Oh, this always feels awful. So now he's gonna go... I think he's realizing it.
You can't open Mire without Quake.
Where is he thinking he still has?
Magic Bat?
Yeah, Magic Bat. Yeah, and it was a big 20. So this Quake will be a last location, and it, based on it being visible from when you take the old man back, really shouldn't be.
That was kind of funny. Krelbel used Bombos to get rid of some Popos. I mean, yes, it was a lot of Popos, but still.
So here's something we were talking about earlier, that we haven't seen the mirror. So even if Krelbel wanted to go get that sword off Pyramid Fairy right now, he can't. We might be looking at Master Sword Silvers for Krelbel. It was just a
Wow, I keep
heart
forgetting
on,
that you need the mirror to go in that direction.
yeah, because the bomb is the one follower you cannot save and quit with on the overworld. You also can't jump off of any ledges with it, or else you leave it behind. So without having any way to go from the light world where the bomb shop is back to the pyramid, there is no way to get that sword out of Pyramid Fairy.
So to answer chat about whether the randomizer can make it so you flat out can't access some areas, there is a mode in the settings called beatable, where that is possible. We are not currently playing under beatable mode, though. We are playing under 100% items, so all items in the game have to ultimately be accessible.
Now, is it inventory or locations? I would believe it's
Inventory.
So you'll see some things like keys being able to lock themselves in this setting. But it can't lock you out of an item that would otherwise be, a Y item or towards your heart container count.
Like, for example, with Harmless Hellway, the runners could have used all their other pod keys somewhere else, never unlocked Harmless Hellway, and then by the time they finished pod, they would have never been able to get into Harmless Hellway because the key to open it would be in the chest inside the Hellway. And along the similar lines, you can have like the Swamp Big Key be in its own chest. Okay, Lanxion, did you just see that Quake medallion sitting right there?
I think he did, and I think he's gonna go around and grab it now.
Unfortunately, I mean, given his lack of silvers, who knows whether he would have been able to maintain the lead if he had gotten the Quake medallion before, but unfortunately, the last few minutes have almost certainly cost him the race.
I mean, having found Kane on Ether, that's got to feel like a galaxy brain in and of itself. And then Quake has been sitting there, and if you've looked at it, you've had the knowledge of it since the first time you came to save the old man, and that to have walked by it so many times and just been up here and doing all of Hera, thinking I got to find Quake somewhere. It's right here. It's right here the whole time. And every one of us have done that, and it feels awful when you do it. And it's just like, if this is what costs you the race, you have to live with it for a little bit, and it sucks.
Well, that and skipping the back of Blind's Hut cost him the race, and we have a helmet in Mire.
Well, I wouldn't be too hasty to say that, just because, even with silvers, that Master Sword Phase 1 and 2 isn't the easiest thing in the world. Although we have 16 hearts in red mail. And at least one red potion.
We also have a game we like to play as Krelbel picks up his 7th crystal here.
Is it a fun game?
Depends on your definition of fun.
I think it's more fun for the chat than it is for the runners. There are 22 checks in Ganon's Tower. One of them has a big key.
And, of course, Ganon's Tower is located on top of Hyrule Castle, as logically it should be.
So, Drosy, where do you think this big key is going to be? And are we going to see another Trinex in GT?
I put in 14 because why not? And I'm wondering if we see Mirror in GT, do you get tempered? Probably not if you're Krelbel and have silvers. And if he knows Samaria strats for Master Sword Ganon, at this point he won't need tempered. But yeah, I feel like Ice Rod is probably hanging out in GT at this point.
The thing is, you could see Ice Rod before a Trinex in GT. That's not fun either. But it can happen.
Yeah, you don't really want to see Trinex, period.
Alright, Krelbel is going to do the trendy little play of going to Hope Room first, because you hope this is where you find your big key. And today it's just a bunch of blueberries, so it's not here.
Yeah, and GT routing gets interesting when you don't have the mirror.
That's true. There's some things that might be easier to just reverse out of. Like if you find it here, the Stalfos room, that's fine. You just hook your way back. But if it's all the way down in, say, Randomizer room, you're almost better going straight to the GT big chest and then going up that stairwell, since death warping is not easy, even in Enemizer, with this much HP in the pool.
Yeah, and you don't even know what enemies there are there to death warp off of. Wow, that's 3 of our 4 small keys already.
And there's that Ice Rod.
Oh, that giant spike tile, not fun. And all for 20 rupees. And here's where that blue boomerang comes in handy, these 2 rooms.
Oh, did Lanxion check everything except for this chest before going here? Oh boy. Not too much Admire that could help our runners at this point.
Well, Lanxion doesn't know that the silvers aren't here.
That's true. And he might actually be hell-bent on trying to find them.
Okay, so random room will be checks 10 through 13. And it's 10, which is normally my guess, but someone stole it from under me.
And that someone is Irritable Penguin, being the only person to guess 10. I guessed 11, so that was close. I had a feeling it'd be in Randover Room this seed. Just far enough that you have to figure out how you want to get back without a mirror. But not deep enough that you have to face whatever boss is waiting behind Bob's chest.
Irritable Penguin, of course, another one of our Open League runners in the playoffs, representing New Hyrule Order.
Oh, if you couldn't see anything that was any more troll, the GT Big Chest having the mirror. Oh.
Well, if you couldn't see anything, you can see your reflection now.
Oh, we're going to reflect on this seed and be like, wow, that was a place for that, wasn't it? Alright, Krelbel doesn't want to screw around with this group of enemies. He's got the Bombos medallion out, and he's probably going to just, have some fun with it. So that actually gives him, if he wants, he can go ahead, get the bomb shop, and go to the top of the pyramid here. Not the top of the pyramid, to the cracked wall in the pyramid and get his tempered sword. I mean, I think at this point it's almost time neutral, but it might be more comfortable for that Ganon fight.
As I say, if you know the Samaria strats to prevent the recoil, which I don't, and I don't know Krelbel enough to know whether he does, but, you know, a lot of good runners do know it, then you can do 2+1 for the first two cycles of, first two phases of Ganon.
And we'll get to see what the Randomizer has in our gauntlet today. The first room, you know, both worms are wiggly, but they're really not much of a threat. And of course, those Zazuks go down with one Master Sword swing. The second room's a little bit more fun, though, and that's why krelbel has the Bombos coin in his pocket.
I'm not sure I have ever seen as much medallion use in a seed as Krelbel's doing today, but it's working for him.
Lanxion really, 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 really wants that tempered sword.
And hasn't realized he has no way to deliver that big bomb. He's trying to go for this portal, but the portal doesn't work in that direction.
And as I noted earlier, that red bomb is one of the only followers you can't save and quit with. So that was a 100 rupee money sink for Lanxion there.
And is this vanilla Landmos? This is vanilla Landmos.
It's vanilla Landmos. It's also our first duplicate boss that we've seen.
Well, we skipped 2 pendant dungeons entirely. We don't know what bosses are in there.
It does, however, mean we're not going
don't...
to see a Trinex at all, outside of the one that
Yeah.
we saw in Thieves Town. So this is straight up, you know, just get it done for krelbel here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we also don't know, you know, what might have been in that Ice Armo spot. Double checking. You need all 7 crystals.
What would you say if that sign said you needed 8 crystals to enter?
Wasn't there a festive once where you needed 8 crystals?
I actually haven't been playing a lot of the festive stuff. So that's something that chat would have to help me out with.
This was a couple of years ago. It was like 8 gifts and 2 lumps of coal.
Eight reindeer, chat's reminding us.
Thank you. It was a while ago. I'd forgotten exactly how that one worked.
Well, it outdates me. I've only been around this year.
Yeah, I want to say that was the 2018 Winter Festive.
So there's nothing krelbel could possibly need out of these chests here. He knows where his other 2 swords are. He's got red mail, silvers, a couple of bottles in hand, you know, all of them. So he's just going to go straight for whatever this boss is. I would expect this to be another Helma. Oh, here's our Vitreous.
Silver Arrow's really nice right about now.
He might want to keep an eye on his arrow count.
I think he was keeping about 9 eyes on them.
That's vanilla, isn't it?
The 20 rupees, yeah.
Thanks, Ganon. Because all I wanted to do before I come to get you is line my pockets.
One interesting thing I learned relatively recently is every 100 rupees you get, like in pocket, introduces a little bit more lag. So both of these runners actually have quite a bit of lag from their current rupee totals.
Just a little extra for the game to have to keep track of, right?
Well, the vanilla game isn't even supposed to have to keep track of this. This is a hack in Randomizer to allow you to have more than 999 at once. Krelbel's having some trouble with his agonometry today.
Oh, that blue ball came at a rude time, too.
Finally gets through. Lanxion will probably pick up his mirror on the way, too.
Oh, almost definitely, because you're going to pass that big chest on your way by, so you might as well get whatever's inside it. If not for the fact that it could be, you know... I don't know. What could it be in this case? A heart container or something. You know, you get the mirror, it's almost best case scenario.
Well, remember, Langxion's probably hoping for silvers.
That's true.
And it looks like Krelbel does not know those Samaria strats, so it is going to be a few cycles to get through the first two phases of Ganon here.
Yeah, and this is what, when you're doing a Master Sword Ganon, you're rewarded for patience and caution a little bit, because that trident can actually home in on you, as you see right there. And there. And
but we're on to phase 2.
Not getting a favorable starting position for phase 2, although Ganon, if he's one tile away from the wall, you can get behind him and sneak a few spins in, get a couple doubles off. But not playing nice with us here.
I mean, Krelbel's got the cape out. He's got half magic. I think he still has a potion or two, even. Yeah, didn't Krelbel do the mushroom turn-in? So I think he stocked up on potions while he was there.
Right, this is phase 3, so this is always going to be 4 hits on Ganon. And if you're able to get in front of him, oh boy, that poke just kind of... These rings of fire bats, that last spin, the 5th ring, has gotten me so many times if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, they just keep going on, and don't poke the pig, kiddies. And here's phase 4, and we got a torch glitch, so we should be good.
But even without the torch glitch, it does only mess up some of the timing when you have to Master Sword spin and then silver. But we have half magic fire rod, we were A-okay here. And again, Ganon not putting himself in very nice positions for any sort of double, but Krelbel, with this last silver, is going to take down Ganon and score a win for OK Game today.
So get your GGs in as this series gets tied up at 1 apiece, and we have a guarantee of going at least 4 games.
As he crosses this bridge, Krelbel will finish with an official race time of 1:57.11. GG's to Krelbel. And we see Lanxion going into pause.
That is the forfeit coming through. So let's see just a moment here about getting them in for an interview.
Yeah, and that is GG's to Lanxion as well, because this group of settings is not something to really slouch about, especially if you're kind of new to inverted, or even if you've played it before. You have vanilla swords and inverted combined. Does make things a little bit trickier early on.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to Krelbel, our winner today. GG's.
Thank you, GG. It was, oh, that was a fun one.
Well, you certainly seem to benefit from the choice of inverted. It seemed like you were quite a bit more familiar with it than your opponent was.
Yeah, we're talking from the future or from the past now, so I got a chance to talk with Lanxion a little bit, and it sounded like the that Quake medallion placement was tripped him up a little bit there, and yeah, I remember the first couple times actually playing this inverted mode. I never used to use a map tracker at all until I started trying inverted mode in the daily challenges, and I got stuck a couple times and thought, no, you know what, I'm never gonna remember all of these, little weird differences in inverted. I'm just gonna start using a map tracker. So, yeah, for stuff like that, it's a lifesaver.
Definitely. For other tracking things, I don't know if you and Lanxion had a chance to compare about the silvers.
We didn't talk about the silvers. Where were the silvers? Trying to remember.
The silvers were in the back of Blind's hut, so you both actually took the smith in there, and you both bombed the wall. The big difference is you went in and he walked past it.
Oh no! Oh.
So he actually tried to go get tempered off the pyramid, but because of the mirror location in GT, there was no way he could return the big red bomb to the pyramid.
Yeah.
So he ended up having to eat the 100 rupees and go into GT with Master Sword Silverless.
Yeah, I think, is it true that the only other way to get the bomb into the to the pyramid would be killing Aga 1? Is that correct?
No, because that warp takes you in the wrong direction. That'll warp you from the pyramid to the light world.
That's right. Yeah, my gosh, inverted.
Yeah, it's the only way you can get back from the bomb shop in the light world to the dark world is by mirroring with the bomb at where the in front of Hyrule Castle. So that mirror in GT and that ice rod in GT gate both of your swords here. So how did you feel knowing that? I mean, you saw the Trinex in Thieves Town early, so that ice rod is probably on your mind early on. But as things kind of unfolded, was there anything that, outside of the cane, obviously in its hyper isolated spot on Ether, anything that you think tripped you up on this one?
The early game gave me, I think, quite a bit of difficulty. What was it? Yeah, just needing to gosh, where were the flippers? I think they were like in the second to last item location in Skull Woods, if I remember correctly. Oh no, they were right next to Blind.
Yeah, they were in Blind Cell, the Maiden Cell.
Yeah, the worst place to get when you're trying to go through there on Randomizer with 3 hearts and green mail.
Yeah, getting there was challenging for me. I'm curious if Lanxion got there before I did. I wouldn't be surprised.
He did.
If he did. No. Okay.
He did, and in fact, he actually chased the fire rod into Skull Woods before you did as well.
Okay.
And the vanilla swords actually ended up being almost a saving grace, because having to do that 3 heart green mail whatever boss is behind the fire rod in Skull Woods wouldn't have been a very fun thing, especially in this case as it was blind.
Yeah, that, oh my gosh, that would have been a nightmare. But I also forgot about the mirror requirement to get the sword. So originally I was thinking, okay, I'll pick up the big bomb on my way to Inverted Ganon's Tower, and then I took that warp, and then saw on my tracker that, oh nope, the pyramid crack is still red, and then remembered, oh right, that that doesn't work without the mirror, and then I kind of considered like, I was trying to think of how long or how much of a delay is it to just walk to Link's house and then to just quickly grab the tempered sword before fighting Ganon. And then I thought, no, that with Master Swords sorry, with Master Sword Silverless maybe. With Silvers, no way, no way that would have saved time.
I think at best, even if you did it optimally, it might have been time neutral, but there was just no way. You had 16 hearts in red mail. So
Yeah,
the fight is just, you just execute it and you're fine.
Yeah, that was pretty safe. And that I was actually practicing Master Sword Ganon right before the run. So yeah, that was felt good. Felt happy I didn't have to do Ice Trinex with Master Sword. I was worried about the GT Big Key location. But yeah, very happy to not need to do that. I was also, again, talking with Lanxion, apparently he dipped Ice Palace early, like before going to Pod. And I was considering that, and I thought, oh no, you know what? I'm probably going to have difficulty if I do that with, I think I still had 3 hearts at that point. So that'll probably give me a bunch of trouble. And also, like, I was thinking, oh, Lanxion is better at execution than me, so he could probably he'll probably do that. So if I skip that kind of gives me an opportunity to make up some time. So that was a bit of an early gamble, and it paid off.
Yeah, and it kind of worked out though too, because you two were money starved a lot during the early parts of the seed. You managed to get enough to play the Arrow game, and he was struggling. He got bailed out by the Pyramid after that Ice Palace dive, and went into Pod, found the mitts right after you. So the early game for this one, Inverted and Randomizer kind of playing up a little bit, and then everything just kind of went smooth sailing after you got Light World access.
Yeah. The early early Light World, I think I found I went to the Back of Escape pretty early and to pick up the boots, and I felt good about that because like Inverted, you're doing a ton of walking around in the Light World, so getting finding the boots early there was definitely nice. Did people enjoy? I noticed my audio was on restream. I hope people enjoyed the live MSU shuffle.
I think you were more.
I had to move it away just because of SpeedGaming's policies on MSUs.
Oh, okay. That's right. I forgot. I couldn't remember if this was restreamed on League or SpeedGaming.
Yeah, there are no invitational matches on SG today, so a lot of your open games that you're seeing, normally they're on the Link to the Past Randomizer League 1 through 4, but we've given the Open something to look at, or some people to have a look at it on the main channel, so this was a good showcase for you and Lanxion today.
Yeah, well, I'm glad people enjoyed it. I hope people also got a kick out of the.
So I was gonna say,
right?
Let's say, what's with the choice of deranged Link here?
It's
Party Link. So that is a script on github.com/krelbel/ALTTP sprite shuffler, and it lets you generate randomized link sprites that, as of the latest 31.0.7 update, are now race legal because you can just select them on the website itself. You don't need to use any patching tool or any third-party patching tool to patch the ROM. Yeah, I'm easily amused, but I find it funny to have Link just making funny faces at me throughout the game.
Yeah, shooting arrows while facing up was interesting. Like when you were in the archery game, you were kind of staring at the guy with the drum while blindly shooting the arrows.
Yeah, just like intimidating him. It's like I don't even need to watch. Look what I can do.
Oh, and we should put in a shout out, since this is now coming up in chat, that yours and Lanxion's teammates will be playing the next game in this series at 1:10 p.m. tomorrow.
Yep, I believe that's Wiki versus Wired Wiki versus who's he going up against?
SNES
Oh,
Chalmers.
right. Yep.
And on that note, now that you've forced to Game 4, have you guys given any thought to who you're going to send to Game 4?
I'm sure. I'm sure. I think in our team, 2C Plus is kind of the tactical mastermind. So I have no idea who's going to be in Game 4, but I'm sure 2C has concocted some plans that we'll probably be discussing later. Now that we know that. We'll have a Game 4.
Now, C2C, I said there's a chance we might see you again.
And of course, the catch with Game 4 is that your opponents will get to make the first mode selection, and will get to do 2 mode selections to you guys as 1.
Yeah, I wonder what modes we'll end up with on that one. The modes on this particular combination of inverted Randomizer, vanilla swords, I've never played this combination before, and it took me a while to think through, inverted and vanilla swords, has some really, really interesting, side effects of, knowing that all 4 of your swords are in the light world, so you're not going to, yeah, like you said earlier, have the super low percent fight in the Mothula arena. Most likely, I mean, still
And
possible, but very, very unlikely.
As Zaru pointed out earlier, it also means that you knew your light world access had to be somewhere other than Aga Tower, because you had no way to tear the curtains in Aga Tower.
Yep. Which, yeah, it's always nice not to have to do super low percent Aga Tower. That can be a nightmare. So. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, GG's again.
GG everyone, and huge thanks to both Comms and Tracker and Restreamer and everyone who was watching. Restreams are always a lot of fun, and I'm glad people enjoyed it.
And good luck to both OK Game and Team Moyai in the remaining races of their series. Give these runners a follow. They may well be showing up again in Game 4 or Game 5 if it goes that far. And also, around here on SpeedGaming 3, we've got another race for you in just a little under an hour. At 6:10, we will be seeing Alucard of Stoops Troop going up against Scarlet of Fromp's Time. That should be a great race. So be sure to come back here for that. And yes, again, GG's and thanks to our runners here. Thanks again to 2C for doing the tracking. Zaru, always a pleasure to do comms with you.
Always a pleasure to be here, Drossi. And of course, GG's to our runners again. Inverted, Randomizer, vanilla swords. A combination you don't usually hear. One heck of a show put on today.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to see this. Not exactly in a rush to see the combination again, but I'm glad I got to see it once. But I think that'll do it for us for now. So thanks again for watching, and don't forget to check back in here in about 45 minutes. And enjoy the day until then.